Live.
Brack in action.
What's up? Welcome to episode 5 of the Why Would You Do That podcast. And today I have a very, very special guest. He's near and dear to my heart. He's a guy I've known for a while. He is part marathon man, part firefighter in training, part tennis, part G.I. Joe. I mean, we're going to get into all that. But ladies and gentlemen, the John Brack.
What's up, peeps?
Welcome. I'm glad you came on because you were like one of the people I was thinking about. Like, man, this guy would be like really fun to do a podcast with, just because you're like a man of, like, it seems in the time we've known each other, what, 10-ish years, maybe somewhere around there.
10-ish, that's a good word for it.
10-ish. You seem like a guy with many like hobbies, and
I have a very ADD hobby oriented life.
Yeah, that's the best way. I met you through tennis, but it seems like we actually share a lot of similar interest, and you, like, one day you'll call me and you'll just be like, hey man, like I'm buying a motorcycle.
I need you to drive it home because I don't know how to ride it.
What? And so so I was like, oh man, Brack would be perfect for the podcast because there's so much material there. But the first thing that I really want to tell you is this story that I've been dying to tell. I haven't said it on a podcast yet, but I don't know if I told you or not, but it's my SWAT team story.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
This is the craziest thing that I've ever experienced, as far as like law enforcement, police, or whatnot. You know, I've gotten speeding tickets and all that kind of stuff, but I've never seen anything to this level. So so I wake up the other morning, and have I told you the story?
No.
Okay, so I wake up. This was Tuesday of last week.
Okay.
I wake up, and I usually get up at like 7 because I like to get to the office around 9ish. So that gives me plenty of time to like drink some coffee, like do a little stretching, and just kind of loosen up when you get old like me.
Yeah.
But so I walk in there to get coffee, and I go in my kitchen. I grab a cup of coffee, and as I'm walking back, passing my front door, I hear on like this. It was like a loudspeaker / like megaphone. It sounded just like somebody was like talking over an intercom, like at school, Yeah. And it's they say the person's address, and then it's followed by, come out with your hands up. This is Beaumont PD. We have a search warrant. And I mean, it was loud, and I just kind of go, what the hell was that? Like,
this is awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, am I awake? What is going on? And so I walk back to the door, and I kind of look out the door, and I open the door, and I step outside just to see like what's up. Yeah. And at the end of my driveway sorry, I have a dog. Sorry. Yeah. At the end of my driveway, there is a fully armored Beaumont SWAT van, like militarized, like to the 9.
They're freaking nice, too.
Yeah. I'd never seen one in person, and I'm like, this is at the end of my driveway. And out file like maybe 8 or 10 SWAT officers in full out militarized, tactical gear, assault rifles, helmets.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. And I was like, this isn't just like a normal thing. And a few minutes they're yelling at these people, and out come these really, really older people, like maybe in their 70s, and they come out with their hands up, and then they yell another couple of minutes, and eventually they apprehend this guy like in his 40s. And once they made the apprehensions, like maybe 30 or 40 cops flood the street, and they're doing paperwork and talking, and like, some of them were kind of, talking about what they just did. And it was just the craziest experience. I mean, I was like, this is like World War III on my street.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm the guy that would walk out there and be like, y'all need any help? Like, y'all need me to hop on the roof? I'll break the rifle out?
Well, Susie was joking that, like, I was going to grab my AR and go run up behind the SWAT guys in my underwear and be like, all right, guys, we're going in, like, to help them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely don't recommend doing that.
No.
But I'm right there with you. I mean, I would love to do that, actually.
It made me want to go like, I want to quit my job and be a cop. Like, this looks awesome.
You definitely don't want to do that. Be a firefighter. Well, I mean, you're too old now, but, you know.
Yeah. So, that's my crazy SWAT story. But that brings me to the next point. So you are actually, well, you were training to be a firefighter, but thanks to the corona, it's kind of restarted. Yeah. So tell me, tell me a little bit about that.
So I started the whole process of becoming a firefighter because you have to be an EMT trained personnel as well.
Okay.
I started that process about a year and a half now.
Okay.
Went through EMT, got all that taken care of. Took a semester off to focus on life, focus on work, things like that. Yeah. Decided to start up this semester with Fire Academy. Well, I get 2 months into it. I think 11 weeks total. And the worst pandemic in 100 years decides it's going to happen.
Okay.
So
straight into, there you go.
So then the world falls apart. I no longer am in school. We didn't get to finish. We have to start all the way over next August. Well, in 3 months from now. So I get to go through the same program twice and enjoy it even less. Well,
which is crazy because I thought for sure maybe they would like just make you pick up where you left off or something. But maybe maybe it's not a thing that like once you start you can't really stop.
So it definitely is something you can, but okay. Like we were at the perfect stopping point. Like couldn't have been a better timing to have stopped and resumed
like
later
taking
on.
a break or whatever.
Yeah, you know, like Ross and Rachel, like we were on a break kind of thing.
Oh, we were on a break.
Yeah, and but we had some issues with some of the cadets. Well, one of the cadets, he was a big baby, you know.
Yeah.
We have a saying that in our academy, T-safe, this shit ain't for everyone.
Sorry, I don't mean to be touching your mic. Just making sure it gets making sure we can hear our guest here.
Yeah, you know, I mean.
Okay, there we go. That's better.
I'm generally kind of soft-spoken.
You're good.
Except when I need to be, and then I'm loud as heck.
I would not have pictured you as a soft-spoken guy.
Well, you know, when I get loud, people stop and listen. They're like, "Oh crap."
Yeah.
So. Yeah, we are starting over again. It's gonna be fun. We got to do some cool stuff though, so I'm looking forward to doing that again.
So how long is fire school?
It's like 17 or 18 weeks.
Okay.
Depending on like the breaks and stuff like that we have. Like we'll have Thanksgiving break this time. We had spring break last semester. Okay. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a great opportunity. You know, we got to tear apart cars. We got to literally like take the jaws of life and rip roofs off of cars.
Oh, those are those big, like, I'm going to sound like such a rookie, such an idiot, but they're like the big mechanical, like.
Yeah, so they're hydraulic powered arms and scissors, basically. And they can actually cut the posts on a car and like cut different parts of the car in half and just snap them like a twig.
Holy smokes.
They'll take your finger off really quick, so you have to be extra careful. But it's freaking fun.
So you operate it. You like.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. Every chance I got. They were like, you have to share, Brack. And I'm like, this is my vehicle. Leave me alone. I want to tear this one up by myself.
Yeah.
And that was fun. We got to climb a 100-foot ladder. Terrified of heights, so that wasn't great.
I'm not a big fan of them either.
Yeah, no, like you're standing up above all of downtown Beaumont, you're like, oh crap, I could die right now, but that's all right. And I got to just do all sorts of cool stuff. So I am looking forward to doing that again, getting to go through and enjoy myself again with all that.
Yeah.
But have to take like 30 tests again.
Oh, like written test and.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
All the good stuff.
So even though you've passed them before, that's out the window.
Yeah, basically. So
can't tell them like, hey, take the higher grade.
So they talked about doing that, and I think they probably will.
Okay.
Which is nice because I did have some that were moderately good grades, but there was more that I'm hoping to redo.
Yeah. So what? I know you've gotten basically halfway through.
Yeah.
What was like the hardest or like the craziest part so far?
Oh man,
I can't imagine like being a firefighter. Like you think, oh, I mean the dude, you know, the guys that put out fires, but there's so much more to it than just that. I mean,
so 80 to 90%, depending on what department you're in, of what you do as a firefighter is going to be medical based.
Okay.
So that's why you have to have that medical training.
It's the EMT.
Yeah.
Training. Okay.
You have to know what's going on a scene. And so that was a huge part of it, getting used to the idea of having to help people in a medical situation. But as far as like the things that we were able to actually go through and do, because we never actually saw any fires.
Okay.
We were like 3 days away from getting to actually be in a burning building. Like
You're
getting
talking
to
about in fire school.
yeah, in the academy.
Okay.
Like we were supposed to go back that Monday, and that Thursday we were going to be in a fire. And we just never went back. And so we missed out on that. But probably the craziest thing we actually were able to do, so we had to crawl through like 50-foot tunnel that got smaller and smaller as time progressed. And like it ended up being just about as broad as my shoulders. And we had all of our gear on and everything, and they had it blacked out. So we couldn't actually see where we were going.
Okay.
You didn't know how deep you were in the tunnel or anything like that. It was all based off of feel and, using your other senses and not your vision, which my vision sucks anyway. So I really wasn't out anything.
I wear contacts, and when I'm not wearing contacts, I wear glasses.
Yeah,
if I didn't have them, you would be like kind of a blob. Like I'd be like, oh, who is this person in front of me?
Like not to make a pasty white joke, but you would blend in with the wall for me. Like I
don't tan. I get red and then I turn white again.
Well,
I know.
So I was actually like 10 shades
You're
lighter than this
you're
a week and a half ago.
pretty
Like
dark.
Check
that out. Those are like
it's one of those things that happens.
yeah.
But yeah, I've been outside a lot this week, so I ended up getting a lot of sun. But
you definitely tan more than I do.
The tunnel thing was, I would say, the craziest. We had several people freak out and start crying.
Like claustrophobia.
Yeah, it all kicked in, and it was interesting to watch that happen for somebody else, because it was people that I respect and I still do. And, it didn't change anything, but to see people like overcome that fear, that obstacle in their life, man, it was really cool.
Yeah.
For me, I was just like, I gotta finish it. Like, I have to get through
You're
it.
kind
So
of a
I'm just
daredevil,
gonna,
though. Like,
I just gotta go for it.
When you told me you were going to Fire Academy, I was like, that sounds exactly like something Brack would do, because you are like adrenaline junkie kind of, huh?
Really, I'm realizing that I am. Yeah. And what's fun about it is the ADD nature of firefighting, and like the way that every call is going to be different. Every situation is different. Even when you run into a burning building, like they're layered different and they're laid out different. So it's never going to be the same thing. It's never like, this is what you're going to do every time. You kind of have to throw all that out and just focus on your training. And so that's what's fun to me, is everything's a new adventure. Right. And I always like to make myself available for adventures and things like that, and take on new and exciting things. So it's been fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely not a firefighter yet, but
sure.
It feels like home. I got to the point where I had a job that was too safe, I would say, too boring.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't living the way I wanted to anymore. And it caused me to just really take a step back and say, okay, we're just going to give it up and go for it.
Yeah. And
I haven't looked back, and I'm very fortunate to have been able to work through all this Corona crap that we've had going.
Jeez, yeah.
And, but yeah, I mean, it's wild, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool, man. That's always kind of interested me, like law enforcement, firefighting, even like the EMT guys, like especially like the EMTs, when they show up to, like, I think of car accidents, car wrecks.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that you see, I can't imagine. Like,
so EMTs are the most underappreciated, like, first responder in the group, I feel like. Mm-hmm. To me, the amount of pressure that's put on them every call to make sure that the patient gets there correctly and gets there safely and in a timely manner, man, it's wild. Like, I've ridden on the back of an ambulance a little bit during my schooling and stuff like that, and I was like, man, these guys, they're worked to the bone, and they are just they love people.
Stuff. Yeah.
Man, dude,
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine.
Like,
injuries. Of course, I've never been one that can do like broken bones, and that just kind of weirds me out a little bit. But I mean, you guys, they're seeing, people that have been maimed, burned. I'm not even gonna go into it. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it definitely takes a different mentality.
Yeah.
being able to block that out and focus on the task at hand.
And how long did you do that?
So it was like a certain amount of hours we had to get on.
Oh, okay. Almost like training for you.
Yeah, so it was clinical based.
Okay.
So we were having to like go to class during the week, a couple of days a week, I don't remember, and then take clinicals as much as we could. Well, mine went straight on into the summer because of my work schedule. And everything else in life just kept me so busy that they were like, hey, you're going to have to make up your hours. And I was like, oh, crap, okay.
Yeah.
And so I just worked as much as I could and did those when I was able. But yeah, it's interesting to say the least. And it's fun because you do learn so much from being around good people and like really advanced paramedics and medics. Like I learned so much from just the hands-on part of it.
Yeah.
Textbooks never teach me the way that.
Well, it's like, it's. I always equate that to like when I learned Spanish because, you know, you meet so many people that are like, oh yeah, I took Spanish in high school, but they can't speak any of it. You know, you can kind of take the class, the textbook, or whatever, and not to look at anybody, but
you know, it took a couple of years, and I know.
But yeah, you learn like
hola.
you know,
That's it.
Yeah, you learn rules and stuff like that, textbook stuff, but you don't really learn the actual like conversation language until like I immersed myself with people that spoke it. I forced myself to speak it, and that's how I really picked it up. And so it's kind of the same thing, you know. They'll for EMT they'll teach you stuff textbook classroom, but you really don't know until you're out there on a call. And I guess maybe you get to your first scene, or I'm not sure what y'all call them, but
and then you freak out and you're like, crap, I don't know what to do. You know, I mean, I remember like one time, and this is like such a stupid thing, like I hate to even admit it, but like they were like, hey, I need you to get this temperature, and I was like, all right. And so it was an ear thermometer.
Okay.
And so I like went to stick it in her, like to like give her an oral temperature, and my paramedic just looked at me. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I was just like, "Honestly, I don't know." And she's like, "That definitely goes in the ear." And I was like, "Yeah." I'm realizing that now that I'm holding it right next to her face, and she's kind of looking at me like I'm a crazy person. That was a funny one that I'll get to hold on to for a while, and if I ever work alongside her or the other medic, I'll never live it down. Yeah. So, you know, I'm always going to be that guy.
At least it wasn't like an ass thermometer and you stuck it.
You know,
whatever. A rectal thermometer. That's what they're called. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm going to need a reading. It's kind of awkward. Like, this is more of like a third date kind of thing, but you know.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. So, and then, well, touching back onto, this is a story that I really wanted you to share.
Man,
Connor, my dogs are the neediest, most attention depraved dogs ever. Like they're always just like, oh, nobody ever loves Honest, love me.
Yeah, well, you know, I think they do pick those things up from their masters, so you know
it could be, yeah.
But you know what? I say we blame Blake.
I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. Are you a dog person? You like dogs?
Are you kidding?
Okay.
I love
dogs. All right. Well, you know, they say never trust anybody that doesn't like a dog. I've never met a dog I didn't like. So, so going back to like police work and law enforcement, I do have to hear about, you know, what I'm about to ask you.
I do.
Okay. So for there's something called a desk pop. Okay, for anybody that doesn't know, if you've never seen the movie The Other Guys with Mark Wahlberg
and
Will Ferrell, I think The Rock's in it for a little bit.
Yeah, and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, there's some really funny guys in there. But
pause. If you haven't seen the movie, you need to go type in The Other Guys desk pop right now
on
before
YouTube.
We carry on.
Yes, go watch that scene.
And we will be here when you get back because it's all going to make much more sense.
It'll make a lot more sense if you've seen the scene. But yes, so you, from what you told me, had your own little desk pop. So please.
So mine wasn't as much of a desk pop as it was like vacuum pop. We'll call it that. So,
and before we get into it, you are very proficient with firearms. You're like,
yeah, I've had some training, and
you're not just like a guy that went to a store and said, "Oh, I want that one," and fill out the paper and he's good.
Maybe we shouldn't have mentioned that because of what I'm about to say, but you know,
well, okay, that's true. But generally speaking, you're not just like some dude who went and bought a gun and was fiddling with it, and you have training. You know what you're doing.
I've handled firearms for 10 years now, probably more.
Which is gonna make this story all the funnier.
I won't say how long ago this story was.
That's fine. I just want people to understand that you're not like an idiot. Like, you know what you're doing with the gun.
So I've done a lot of shooting over the years. I feel very confident with guns. Sometimes maybe a little too much, but okay. Accidents do happen, is what I'll say.
Sure.
Nobody was harmed. Nothing. Nothing.
No living being was harmed.
Yeah, no
inanimate object. Is that the right term?
Yeah, we'll go with that. So I was in the process of moving out of my last place, getting ready for the fire academy, and so I had some stuff packed up, and I was at home one day, and I just bought this new gun. And I was looking at it, and the trigger just felt weird on it, and I've shot guns so much that if I don't like a trigger, I can't bring myself to carry it. I don't want to have a gun that I'm not going to carry.
True. I've shot a gun and the trigger felt off, so I know exactly what you mean.
And so you work on it and you see, okay, is this something I get used to? Do I need to go ahead and get rid of the gun? I have since gotten rid of the gun.
It's probably a good idea.
Evidence is gone. We're good. So the trigger pull on this was really weird. There was just a long draw, if you will. That's whenever you actually pull the trigger back. And then you hit a wall. Mm-hmm. And then once you hit that wall, that's when it's about to fire. Yeah. And you pull it more, and that's when it fires. So the long draw was messing with me mentally. Apparently
it's
physically.
One of those things where it's like it's in your head, and you're like, I can't sleep until I figure this out.
Until I get confident with it and comfortable with it. Sure. So I had the gun at home. I just got it home from picking it up, and I had the magazine with it. So I took the magazine out, set it down, I grabbed the gun, and I was dry firing, which that's pulling the trigger, pulling the slide back, getting it ready to fire again, and pulling the trigger again, just trying to get a feel for it.
And no bullet chambered, nothing. Yeah,
nothing at all.
That's what a dry fire. Yeah.
Yeah, and totally safe. Definitely don't want to point at anything because you never know when it's gonna be loaded. But just out of pure safety. It's always a good idea to keep it unloaded, and so I feel like this punchline is taking forever to get here.
It's the build-up because I know what's coming, and it's
so I was dry firing this gun for 5-10 minutes, I don't know how long, and I was like, this trigger just feels weird, and I was like, all right, I don't know what time it was, but I had to get to work. I had to go somewhere, so I slapped the magazine back in it, set it down. And I walked away for a quick second, and I was like, that trigger just feels so freaking weird. And racked the slide, pointed it down at the ground, and pulled the trigger. Well, that magazine was loaded. and so made it really awkward because now I have to buy a new vacuum cleaner. I accidentally shot my vacuum cleaner. I swore it moved on its own. It was one of those Decepticon things where you're like, I don't trust this vacuum cleaner. Government's bugging it or something. You never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had a desk pop of my own.
You popped your vacuum cleaner.
And I shot the vacuum cleaner. So, yeah.
Oh, man. Knock on wood. This is wood. Knock on it. I've shot guns, been around firearms for, a long time, but really, I guess in the past year or two, really got, bought a couple handguns and got more, proficient with handling them and this and that. And so yeah, knock on wood, I haven't had any accidents, issues yet. But when you told me that story, I just couldn't get the picture of your face, the reaction of your face when you shot the gun. And then, when it takes you a second to process something.
Oh, no, it didn't even take a second. Did we?
Oh, I don't know. The video stopped. That's okay.
All right.
But yeah, I was just thinking I was imagining the look on your face while your brain is trying to process what the hell you just did.
So, for me, it was pulled the trigger. It's aimed down at the ground. I'm inside of my house, so it's compacted. The air, like, it was amplified. The sound.
Loud. It's like, shooting
Yeah.
in an indoor range versus outdoor. Yeah, it's
With no
loud.
earmuffs on
Oh,
either, because
yeah.
of course, wasn't planning on.
Yeah, and if you've
discharging
never
it.
shot a gun, newsflash, they're loud.
Yeah. Yeah, they're way too loud
Incredibly
to not have
loud.
any ear
Like
protection.
when you watch the movies and people are firing, sorry for my dog, and people are like firing everywhere, like it's nothing. No, they're really loud. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me see if this probably wants a ball under here or something. There's nothing under there, man.
Yeah, they're.
I swear my dogs are weird.
They're pretty freaking loud.
But yeah, they're loud. I've shot a handgun, a shotgun, without ear protection before, and it's like instant ringing.
Yeah, and so that happened. I stood there for a couple of seconds, just in disbelief of what had just happened, and made sure I didn't piss my pants. And, I did take the magazine back out of the gun.
I definitely would have sold myself. I would have been like,
I was like, crap, and took the magazine out. Made sure there was nothing in the chamber, because didn't do that the last time, and it didn't work out so well. Always make sure the chamber is empty. That is
always
now a forced habit due to prior experiences. But it's just one of those things. It goes to show that no matter how proficient you are or how confident you feel, accidents can happen. That's why.
Well, it's like riding a motorcycle, which we'll get into next. I know you've just gotten into that, but it's you always want to respect the gun. You always want to respect the motorcycle. The minute you stop respecting it and you get overconfident is when, unfortunately,
desk pops happen.
Stuff like that happens. And when I first got on around firearms and motorcycles too, I was super careful. But I always, especially sometimes I'm not totally careful on a motorcycle, but with guns, I'm almost phobic, like triple checking, the chamber, making sure it's clear, and but anyways, it's you've gotta just keep the respect for the firearm.
And I mean that goes for even just regular vehicles. You are still driving a 3,500 pound vehicle down the road, and if you're weaving in and out of traffic like crazy, you're gonna get somebody hurt. May not be yourself, it may not be your vacuum cleaner, but it could very well be somebody else. And so it's something good. It's a good practice in everything in life.
I agree. I'm about to. Oh, my dog is driving me crazy. Hang on.
He's having a good time. We don't know what's going on.
He's chasing a tennis ball.
Oh. He chases those fuzzy yellow balls like his dad.
Oh, my dog is obsessed with tennis balls, and if there's one under the couch, like he'll sit there and bark for an hour. Like he's crazy. So if I didn't get it, he'd sit there and bark the whole time. But so the desk pop, that's fantastic. But you recently, going back to like you and your just kind of not your craziness, but just your like unpredictable, wanting to get into everything. You called me the other day, and you're just like, hey, so I'm buying a motorcycle. What?
Yeah.
Do you know how to ride? Nope.
Yeah. So I had decided that I wanted to get a motorcycle.
Where did that come from? Like, where was I know you said your dad rides, but where did that?
Yeah. So it's one of the things that's always intrigued me, as far as like the mentality behind it and like why people would want to, I guess, expose themselves a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I felt like there has to be something there that I'm not understanding. And I'm somebody who, if I don't understand something, I want to, and I'll drive myself nuts trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm also somebody that if I want something, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I get
Kinda
what
like
I want.
Me, you're pretty hard. When you get your mind set on something, it's like, there ain't no talking you out of it.
That's it. And I'm going to do it. And so I'd gone a couple of times, and I talked to my sales guy. I was like, dude, I've never ridden a motorcycle. I don't even know if I'm going to like it. He's like, well, that's stupid. You're going to like it. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like,
in his defense, he's not wrong. I mean, have you ever seen somebody on a motorcycle not smiling ear to ear? I mean, hello. It's one of the greatest things in the world.
Hey, when I went riding earlier today, I was just like grinning like a little schoolgirl.
Big cheesing. Oh, man. It's the greatest. But continue.
And so for me, it was this weird, like, do I really invest in something like this? Like, I'm at the point in my life where I can kind of come and go as I please. I can buy what I want to do, and I can just go have fun. Life's about living. It's too short. I spent too long not living life.
I agree.
And just kind of going through the motions. And so I was like, maybe I'll change it up a little bit and go with something a little bit different. And so motorcycle it was, which I'm so glad I did. And I've enjoyed the crap out of it. But I wasn't 100% sure that I was going to like it. And so the guy was like, well, let's just go sit on a couple. And great sales guy, by the way. He really knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And
well, what kind of threw me for a loop is because when I've been riding 5-ish years or so, and when I first got into it, I talked to some buddies that had been riding, just looking for advice, getting a first bike, learning, and almost everywhere you go, everyone says to start, small, get you like a used bike or a 300 to 500-ish cc, something real easy, what's not gonna, what the saying in the motorcycle community is something that's not gonna get you in trouble, meaning you're not gonna
get overwhelmed,
run it into a ditch or something crazy. And so when you initially asked me about it, and I was just kind of telling you, you may want to start kind of small, just to don't buy a brand new one, because you will get bored after 6 months, and you'll want to move up to a bigger one. And you're just like, well, I saw this really cool. It's a Dyna.
So it's the Dyna Super Glide.
Yeah, which is a 1500-ish cc.
1584.
Okay, excuse me.
Yeah,
almost 1600 big ass V twin Harley.
Yeah,
not a beginner motorcycle. So you're like, I don't know, I really like this one, and I was just like, I mean, that's, it's a Harley. The resale is great, and it's a bike you can definitely keep forever, but the first few months, please just don't kill yourself, because it's a
lot of bike.
Big badass bike. I mean, that's one that you buy and you keep it forever.
So that's my goal with it. I was kind of running the numbers on it mentally, just doing like quick math, and the amount that I was gonna spend on a bike, I would have lost a good chunk of that in resale or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was leaning towards that option because I was like, okay, it's a smaller bike, it's got a smaller engine, I can probably handle it a little bit better, and if I wreck it, no big deal. Like,
that's why you get insurance.
Obviously, yeah. I had
shameless plug. His insurance guy.
My insurance guy had to drive my motorcycle home.
We'll get to that part in a second.
And so I was talking to the guy at the dealership, and he's just like, yeah, I mean, you could go with this bike. It's well within your price range. Like, and I was like, yeah. And so I took a picture of it and thought about it all weekend. Should not have taken that picture. Like, killed myself doing that.
What's worse is this is more like when you're buying a car and they tell you, oh, just take it home for the night. Like, oh, man.
And then you're sitting in the driveway till 2 a.m.
Kiss of death. You're in the car and you're just like, I want this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I call him up that Tuesday morning when they opened, I think it was. And I said, hey, man, I'm going to come by today. I'm going to get that bike. And he's just like, sounds good. I'll see you at 10 a.m. And I had just gotten off a night shift, so I woke up a little bit late. Called my dad, or I told my dad, I said, hey, you want to come with me? I'm going to the dealership, probably going to pick up a motorcycle. And he's just like, what the heck? All right. He's like, I want to make sure you don't do something stupid. And I was like, all right, sounds good. So he comes with me. And I go and I look at this bike. And I'm like, all right, I could deal with this bike. This would be a good bike for me. And Philip, my sales guy, was like, but this guy over here, and he brings me to the bike that I ended up getting. And
so you had your heart set on one bike.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that I didn't know. So this is not the bike that you bought we're talking about.
No.
You had your heart set on another one.
No, I had my heart set on an 883.
Which are really cool bikes, yeah.
They're cool, but they're a little bit smaller. As far as like comfort-wise.
You could probably ride that one full-time, but I think if you wanted to do any kind of distance riding, you may be like, so.
And so it was one of those things, like I sat on that bike and I was like, man, this is really like, this is too nice of a bike for me. Like, and I understand that it still is.
For maybe a month or so.
So I was like, I don't know if I should get this bike. And my dad looks at me and he's just like, you're gonna get that bike. Like, he's like, I've known you your entire life. Like, you're not gonna settle for anything less than that bike now. And I was like, I mean, that's fair. He's got a good point. And so I thought about it for a minute, and he was telling me a little bit more about the bike, and he was saying how much bigger of an engine it was, and I would be more comfortable for longer distance rides. I could just hop on it and just go and not feel any pain or uneasy.
Because I did ride it. It seems like a pretty good city bike too. Like it's not.
Oh yeah, it's
if you try to ride like a Honda Goldwing around town, that's probably going to be kind of uncomfortable because it's so big. But
yeah, it's definitely not like a touring model where you're just like, holy crap, I got 900-pound bike riding around.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to maneuver, and it's just extremely comfortable. I rode it here, and I'm looking forward to going out in a little bit and riding some more.
Oh yeah, we'll have to get a picture of the bike and throw it up on the Instagram, which I'll plug. I'll plug that later, but definitely because it is a sweet bike.
It's a fun one. So he was telling me more about it, and it's an anniversary edition. And things like that, I know help with resale value.
Sure.
So
you can't just hop on Craigslist and find 10 of them. I mean,
yeah, there was a limited number made. I think it was like 1,400 of them or something like that.
Jeez.
And so I happened to find one, and it just worked out. And I'm extremely happy with it. I have no intention of ever selling it. I was texting Brett earlier today about buying another bike so that way I can keep that one in really good condition. And I've been kind of throwing that idea around for the last couple of days because I'm like, I want something that I can just hop on and go and not like think twice about because I don't have
mileage or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't want that bike to have 100,000 miles on it in the next 10 years, which there's a good likelihood that would happen with me. So
what killed me is because that is a sweet bike. Like it's definitely not a beginner bike. It's like you said, it's one you keep. I mean, it's sweet. And you called or texted me, and you walked over, and we got your insurance set up on it, and then you called me and you were like, "Hey, I need you to ride it home for me." So I was laughing, thinking of like the salespeople or what they were thinking, like, "Oh, this guy's buying this super sweet bike, but he can't even ride it.
can't even leave the lot in it."
And so you call your insurance guy to come over and ride it home for you, which I was thrilled to do because it was pretty fun to ride. But
so. I tell the guy because Brett's office is right down the road from the dealership that I bought it from.
Literally walking, distance.
Yeah, I mean we walked over to and from, and I tell my sales guy, I was like, "Hey, look, I'm gonna get the insurance policy taken care of because they told me I had to have it before we could leave the lot." And I was like,
especially if you don't know how to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, he's like, I want to make sure that they have a policy and that we don't have to cover anything that happens. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to go talk to my insurance guy. He's got his helmet with him. He's going to ride home. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, he rides bikes. He's like, an insurance guy that rides bikes?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
My life insurance policy is premier.
And I'm the benefactor.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Yeah. You may have to talk to my fiance about that one, but...
She doesn't know it didn't hurt her, right? Is she gonna watch this? I mean,
probably not. She probably won't.
We're good.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So I did ride it home for you, and that was a bad bike, man. I think it's cool.
The most humiliating thing about that was I was like, man, I just bought this nice bike, and I'm watching one of my good friends ride it home because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I was like, why would I do this? Like the whole ride home, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm so stupid. Like,
and this was you got it. It's been a couple weeks now. Maybe?
Oh, it's been almost. It'll be 2 weeks on Thursday.
But you're riding it like.
Oh, I've put I think like 250 miles.
Yeah,
on it.
you called or texted me later that day, and you were like, "Yeah, I rode it up and down my street," and I was like, "Oh God, he's gonna be like riding to Dallas, Texas by the next week." But you're riding. I mean,
I'm putting some mileage in. I'm wanting to make sure that I'm getting comfortable turning, shifting, and everything before I get out on any kind of long trip. And
for sure.
I definitely feel like I'm getting there. It's something new, so it takes a while. It's like learning the guitar or the drums or anything like that.
Start slow.
It just,
wear your helmet.
Start slow-ish.
Slow-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I ride a crotch rocket, so I mean, who am I to tell you ride slow?
Yeah, let's be real.
But, as your friend...
Yeah.
Stay, baby steps.
Stay within your realm of capability.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
I know what I'm capable of and I know what I'm not.
But boy, is it tempting to
crack
open the beans on that throttle and just, man. Best feeling in the world.
So I've loved it and I have no regrets at all.
Oh, yeah. So you just literally woke up one day and you were just like, you know what? I want to learn to ride a bike.
Pretty much. I say that. So I've had some downtime with all this Corona stuff going on, and started watching Sons of Anarchy again.
That's what it was.
There was like it was probably a subconscious thing.
Okay.
And like at the time, I wasn't like, oh yeah, that's why I want to ride a bike. Like I want to be like freaking Jax Teller. Like no, it was one of those things like that looks like fun. I would probably be interested in it.
It sparked the idea in your.
Yeah, and I probably had a dream or two about it, and like woke up was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this.
It's funny you say that because literally, when I think back to like, yeah, I'd never interested in motorcycles, whatever. It really felt like one day I just kind of woke up and went, you know what? I want to get into I want to ride motorcycles. I don't recall like anybody talking to me about it or like something influencing me. It was just weird. It was like one day you literally I wake up and I'm like, I'm going to ride. I'm going to learn to ride motorcycles.
Yeah. So, and I feel like that's how it's been for most of the passions that I've had over the years. Like
you just kind of wake up.
Most of the hobbies,
bing.
It's like one small thing that I'll see or one small thing that I'll hear. And then a few days after that, I'm like, let's give this a shot. You know, like I haven't always been super interested in guns. It's been probably the last 5 or 6 years that I've really like grown my collection to a reasonable amount.
I mean, you can never have too many.
No, definitely not. And so I feel like that's just the pattern that I follow, which is kind of weird and goofy at times because it gets me into trouble or gets me onto things that I, probably have no business being on. But, that's life.
Hey, it's like you said, life's too short, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that... Like I said, the day when you called me or texted me, it was like, hey, I'm buying a bike. I was just like, of course you are, John. Of course you are.
There's nothing surprising about that.
And I remember I asked you, I was like, do you even know how to ride a motorcycle? And you just said, nope.
Gonna figure it out, though. It's been funny, though, because, like, not everybody that I hang out with on a regular basis knows that I have a bike still.
Still kind of...
It's one of those things, like, I haven't told everybody because... I don't want people to be like, oh, well, take me for a ride or something like that, because definitely not doing that, because I don't want anybody on the back yet, because I don't trust myself with someone else's life in that regards.
Yeah.
Now, if you need me to pull you out of a burning building, great, we'll do it. We'll make it.
He's your guy. I mean, come
on. I'll be your hook. You know, got the stash and everything.
Yeah. Which, by the way, mine is so much. If you're watching this,
he's working on it.
My stash is pathetic to begin with, but then next to John's, oh my, it's not even, yours is incredible.
Well, and it used to be better. You used to have the curls.
Longer, right? You had the curl,
but I can't now with fire and everything like that. So it's just one of them things. Life changes. But yeah, I would venture to say that life
it's too short.
It's too short, and it's random.
Go for it.
When I told my best friend that I was getting a bike, he was just like, okay, like, he's married with 2 kids. Like, he's got his life on a track, and it's there. It's on that same track for the rest of his life. Mine kind of goes into different places and randomness all the time, and so it's nothing out of the ordinary for me to tell him, like, hey, I'm gonna do this week, and he's like, well, what the hell, like, okay. And so when I texted him, told him, like, hey, I'm buying a bike, this is what it looks like, he's just like, honestly, it was just a matter of time. Like,
of course, like you said, my reaction, of course you are, John. Of course.
So
well, cool. Well, ride safe. Don't kill yourself, please.
I'll do what I can.
Die.
Well, I mean, you're my life insurance guy, so
that's true. So if you do die, so people get some money, so you're good.
Yeah.
But don't die. I'd much rather have you here to podcast with than
It's a little more fun this way, right?
Yeah. So, well, awesome. Well, thank you for hanging out. This was episode 5. I've done 5 entire episodes of a podcast now.
You have 5 friends?
I didn't say that. I've just recorded 5.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, you are the second guest I've had. I've done a couple solo, but it's definitely more fun with guests. So,
dude, I'll be back anytime.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to have John back. But thank you for hanging out. This was episode 5. Also, this hat I'm wearing, if you're watching, is one of my best friend's hat companies out of San Antonio called Sight and See. They do all kinds of cool, like, outdoor headwear, headgear.